Hello, today I'm going to enable Hibernate on my Ubuntu 23.10 machine. So this is the hardware machine. I want to hibernate it, which means take the state, the random access memory bytes, save them to the hard disk such that if the computer remains without power, so when the computer is hibernated, you can plug the computer out of the power socket, even if the computer does not have a battery. So this is actually a computer that doesn't have any battery. It's a desktop computer, and after I hibernate it, I want to be able to physically move it from one room to another. So that's hibernate. It takes all of the bytes from the random access memory, saves them to the disk, specifically to the swap file or swap partition. Suspend keeps after you suspend the computer, which means suspend to RAM, not to disk. Hibernate is suspend to disk. Writes all of the bytes inside of the RAM on the disk inside of the swap, whereas suspend keeps using the CPU and the RAM, but it just is using very little energy, so power consumption. But then it's fast to suspend the machine and to resume the machine. Whereas this is, it takes a while until the hibernation actually starts and then to resume from hibernation. A third option is hybrid sleep, where it both writes all of the bytes that exist inside of the RAM to the hard disk, which is exactly what Hibernate does, but it also enters suspend to RAM. So if you don't have any power loss and your machine is suspended with the type hybrid sleep, then it's very fast to resume from the sleep, because it will do a resume from suspend to RAM, not a resume from suspend to disk. But if there's a power loss, it cannot do a resume from suspend to RAM. It needs to do a resume from suspend to disk. For now, I'm only interested in this type. There's also another version where it goes suspend to RAM. Then the real-time clock wakes up the operating system, puts it into the normal, so it does a resume from suspend to RAM, and then it does hibernate, so suspend to disk. So I'm interested in just hibernate for now, which I know it usually works on this computer. Okay, let's find a tutorial. I need a tutorial for Ubuntu for at least the version 2204. If it says systemctl hibernate, then that's the way I enter hibernation. I need enough space inside of the swap. So let's look at the size of the swap. Fortunately, my swap is only a swap file, which is the default for Ubuntu. I do not have a swap partition. Okay. So I'll need to allocate a swap files, which is named /swap file, which is larger than my random access memory. So I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. I need a swap file that's larger than that. So let's go for, I know, 35 gigabytes. Okay. We cannot create a swap file because it's already in use, so we need to stop using it first. That's the command line. Okay, let me copy it to the show notes. Free shows 32 gigabytes. So I'll allocate 35 gigabytes slash. Okay. And I have no swap right now, so the file /swap file is not in use. We can maybe also do a lsoff to make extra sure. I'm not sure lsoff sees kernel mode opened files. Okay. Block size and then count. This sounds interesting. Let's become super user. So I want 1 megabyte, which is the block size. Then I want a gigabyte, which is 1024 of 1 megabyte. And MB is megabytes, not maybe bytes. So BS is in bytes and 1M is 1024 kilobytes, which is what I want. Okay. So this is 1 megabyte, this is 1 gigabyte, and this is 5 gigabytes, so 4 gigabytes, and I want 35 of those. Okay. Start. Okay, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so DD has copied 35 gigabytes, so that's 35 times 1024 times 1024 times 1024 bytes from the device/dev/0, which only contains 0, so the byte 0, and then to the /swap file. So let's see the size of the swap file. ls doesn't have a human double format. Okay. And next we need to create a swap file there. So that's mkswap swap file. I still do not have swap yet. And then it says that it's better if /swap file is restricted. So let's go with just the owner. Who's the owner? The owner is the root user of /swap file. Okay, so chmod 6 means RWX, which means 4 plus 2 plus 0, which means the user, which is root, can read or write to the /swap file, cannot execute the file. The group of the user root, which is root, or other users and groups cannot read, write, or execute the swap file. Okay. And now we can enable the swap file. Paste. Let's look at the swap. So the size is 33.4 gigabytes. Thing was interesting. So I wanted 35 gigabyte and I only got 33. Let's go back to the manual. I said block size BS, which is this thing. If n ends with b, it counts bytes, not blocks. N and bytes may be followed by the following multiplicative suffixes. So MB is totally not what I want. Because MB is a power of 10. And I want powers of 1024. Yeah. Let's go back to where we were. This thing should, the uppercase B should not be there. Okay. I do not have the swapoff command. So no swap anymore. Delete the swap file. Better. Allocate. I'll be back in a second. And now we have better results because it says 35 GIB, which is GB byte, which means powers of 1024, not powers of 1000, which is 38 in power of 10. So this is what I actually want, 35 gigabytes, not 33 gigabytes. So the command line must not contain an uppercase B in the block size for DD. Okay, let's make swap, which is the format. Okay, let's chmod. Let's swap on. Next up, we need to swap on. So we did mkswap, chmod, swap on, paste. Let's look at the size of swap. And now it says 35G, which is exactly what we want. And now, So 34 GI swap size. Great. And making sure the swap is enabled upon startup. Yes. Let's look at this. What it says, it just says /swapfile, does not say any UUID or label or anything else, just the full path of the file, which is /swapfile. It will be enabled. But then the kernel will not be able to find it if we do not say via the group bootloader kernel command line. Okay, so we'll need a way of detecting the UUID of the file system. So let's find that thing out. Okay, so what does it say? The physical offset of the swap file. Okay, so this tutorial looks pretty similar to what I have used before. It says that we should look at the column physical offset, first value, so on line 0, which is this value. Physical offset, Control V. Next, I have created a swap file on the root file system. It's ext4. Okay. And I need the UUID of /dev/ this device driver. blkid of this thing. Okay, so let's just copy these things. Okay. So is UUID the first thing, which is this one. And then offset. Okay. So we need to edit this file. I'll do it with Emacs. So grop command line Linux default. This one with quiet splash. So after quiet splash, I need to paste this thing. Okay, so let's save. Update grub. Next up, I'll probably just test if systemctl hibernate works, because that's the command line that I use. I do not use any graphical user interface buttons to enter the hibernate. Okay, so that was it. I have computed the correct numbers. So this UUID, this physical offset. I wrote down what I should add to the command grub command line Linux default in the file/etc/default/grub, which I did, this part. Now the line looks like this. And then I have run update grub, which updates the bootloader. I have started the hibernation process. So sudo space systemctl space hibernate. And it takes a while. It, locks the computer and then it starts the hibernation. And then it flashes the screen, shows the desktop again. So it takes a really long time. You only can know when the computer is fully hibernated if the power LED on your computer LED is turned completely off. So we wait, I don't know, 2 minutes, look at your power LED, and if it's turned off, then yes, the computer is really hibernated and you can, for instance, take the power cord out of the wall. So that was it. Thank you.